Reflections from the Reverend Geoffrey A. Black, General Minister and President of the United Church of Christ.
I grew up in a family that was a voting family. My mother was a Democratic committee woman in North Philadelphia in the 1950s and 60s. She was very, very active. My dad was a government employee who claimed that he had to stay out of politics because he worked for the government, and there was the Hatch Act or something like that that prevented his involvement in electoral politics. So he was not as involved, but he voted. And so I grew up watching my mother and father and actually going to the polls sometimes with my mother because voting was very important for them. We lived in a family and went to a church that was very conscious of the growing civil rights movement at the time. And we were very aware that people like us, African-American people, couldn't vote in a lot of places in the country. And so it became very, very important for us to exercise the right to vote. Wherever I've lived, I've always been an active voter. And I think since I became of age, I've missed about one, maybe two elections. Other than that, I'll vote for dog catcher. I mean, whatever it is, you know, I'm a voter. I think that African Americans have been through a very lengthy and brutal struggle to attain the right to vote. African Americans have gained political power, have gained political office, and have exercised political power, and there is a backlash. And I think that this voter suppression era that we're going through, that's particularly targeted at African Americans and Latinos and Latinas, is about preventing them from exercising power, preventing us from exercising power in the American political context. I think that ultimately we will prevail, and that we will assert that right and maintain that right, and will exercise power and hold office. However, I think that it is very, very threatening to those who are used to having power exclusively to themselves. Now, I'm a firm believer in the separation of church and state. However, I believe that people of faith have a moral obligation to care for the society that they live in. And voting is one of the ways that you exercise care for your society, for your neighbors. We can vote to implement public policy that is for the betterment of all. The United Church of Christ is a denomination that has deep, deep historical roots in American society. And those people who came here as pilgrims, those people who eventually became abolitionists, those people who were in support of the movement for women's suffrage, those people who supported the civil rights movement in the 60s, they all were about opening this society to greater inclusion and freedom for all to be treated equally. And so the ability to vote is what equal citizens are able to do. It's a part of our ecclesiastical DNA. I would encourage all members of the United Church of Christ, if you are age eligible, to vote. I voted today, a week before Election Day, by mail-in ballot. And I think that wherever you have the opportunity to do that, or in any other way, stand in line, whatever, I think it's an important exercise of our faith, our spirituality, to participate in the society that way. If we want to see justice prevail, then voting is one of the ways that we make that happen.
If you have a topic or question for Reverend Black, please send it to reflections@ucc.org. Submitted topics and questions will be considered for future episodes.